Hello, everybody! Alright, so it's been a while since I've posted on this channel. Uh, so technically, I did make a short a couple weeks ago about promoting my new channel called Ants Reacts, which, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to that channel yet, please go subscribe to that channel, Ants Reacts. It's my new channel where I react to albums and bands I've never heard of before. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please do. I'll put in the link in the description below. So yeah, I've been kind of busy with that, so that's why I haven't really posted any real videos in a while. It's like over a month, soon be 2 months, but now that's going to change. I'm finally making another video. So yeah, just as kind of usual, just taking another little break. But anyways, so on YouTube, almost every time I open YouTube now, I always see somebody do a video on albums that changed their lives. Now that's an interesting topic. I don't know who originally did it first, but just that whoever originally did it first, I guess that video went popular, and so everybody just pretty much just did a video on albums that changed their lives. And yeah, that's an interesting topic. And then I thought, why don't I do a video like that? Albums that changed my life. Now, again, I am young, and I am pretty sure in the future, when I get older, there'll probably be more albums that's gonna change my life. So, yeah. And who knows, I might find an album that might change my life, in my reaction channel. Who knows? So, yeah, so far, these are the albums that I picked that changed my life a lot. Because I really love all these albums. I, of course, love. And I've loved ever since the day I have heard them. So these are 10 albums that I picked from my album collection that really changed my life. So, yeah, there's 10 of these, and they're in no particular order. So let's go ahead and start with Pearl Jam, their debut album called 10. I don't know why they call it 10. Like, this is not the 10th album. This is the first album. I've always been confused by that. But yeah, now, usually I have a story with these albums. I can't remember when I do remember when I heard it, but I can't remember, I actually did get this fairly recently, though. It's like last year. I have listened to the album before. I just didn't have it until I went to a record store one day and, oh, there's this album. I always got this album. Hey, Dad, can I get this? Yeah, sure you can. Because I've always loved this album. I can't remember when I first heard it, but I do know the feeling that I had when I first heard it, though. Now, I have always, I know I definitely heard quite a few songs from this album on the radio a couple of times. It just wasn't until one day I decided to listen to the entire thing, which, yeah, that was a good idea. I never regretted that decision. But, yeah, before I listened to the full album, I have definitely heard a few songs on this album on the radio. Songs like, Once, Even Flow, Alive, Black, Jeremy. Those are the most popular songs of the album. But I also love some of the deep cuts, like, Why Go, Oceans, Porch, Garden, Deep, Release. Yeah. Yeah, definitely one of the best albums released in 1991. 1991 has probably got to be my favorite year of music. A lot of influential albums were released that year. That's when grunge kind of took over the music industry. This is one of the albums that kind of started that. And speaking of Pearl Jam, they have a new album coming out later this year, like 2 months from now, like in April called Dark Matter. I have listened to the title track, Dark Matter, that we released a couple weeks ago. It's alright. I am looking forward to the album, but it's alright. But I still do hope the album's actually great. But maybe as good as this album. I don't know. Yeah, Pearl Jam, 10. Definitely the best album in my opinion. So, yeah, great album. Alright, next is some of you know I really love a band called Dream Theater. Yes. And I consider them as the greatest band of all time. My personal favorite band. Yes. And yeah, it was definitely this album that got me into Dream Theater. I mean, I have heard a couple of their songs, but this was actually my first ever album that I listened to, like full album. And it's also my favorite album of all time, Octavalium. Yeah, man, yeah. I've always, man, out of all these albums, I think this album, it's actually kind of fairly recently, like, to be honest with you, I actually never got into Dream Theater until, 2022, so that's, almost 2 years ago. So, yeah, it is kind of fairly recent, but, no, I think out of all these albums I'm going to mention, I think this album changed my life the most. I've always loved progressive rock. I've always loved songs that go over 10 minutes. I mean, I may be young, but I ain't no TikToker, man. But anyways, yeah. I mean, there's only 2 songs that go over 10 minutes, though. The last 2 songs, Sacrifice Sons and Octavalium, the title track, over 24 minutes long, and in my opinion, the greatest song of all time. And I have never listened to a song that was so beautiful like that before. I don't know any other song that is like the title track, Octavalium. I don't know any other song like it. It's definitely a special song. But of course, it's not just that song. I really do love the other songs on here, like The Root of All Evil, The Answer Lies Within, These Walls, I Walk Beside You. Panic Attack is one of the heaviest songs of all time, and you can't change my mind. Never Enough, Sacrifice Sons, and of course, the title track, Octavalium. So yeah, I think out of all these albums, I think this album changed my life the most. I've always heard Pull Me Under, and ever since I've heard that song, I decided to check them out. But I never listened. It was only a couple songs before I decided to listen to a full album of this. And it wasn't until I listened to Octavalium, the song. It's like, oh yeah, I'm definitely listening to this album. This definitely feels like one of the best albums. And it definitely is. Yeah, Octavalium. Wonderful. I don't know any other album like it, man. It's beautiful. A work of art. And if you don't like it, that's fine. We all have different opinions. In my opinion, the greatest of them all. But that might change, though. Because before I got into Dream Theater, I thought this album was the greatest album of all time. Hint. It's in the background. Yep. Iron Maiden, The Book of Souls. I know a lot of people do not agree with me on this one. Honestly, this really is my favorite Iron Maiden album. I mean, I really do love the other albums. I don't think they ever made a bad album either. In my opinion, one of those bands where they're just so perfect. They never made a bad album, never made a bad song, never made a bad anything. Just so perfect. And this, in my opinion, is the best of them all. The Book of Souls. And speaking of Iron Maiden, I am eagerly waiting for the new Bruce Dickinson album to come out in a few days, The Mandrake Project. I am eagerly waiting for that. I've been waiting since December 1st. That's the day that the Afterglow of Ragnarok came out. I've been waiting it ever since. And now it's getting closer. Now, man, how much does time fly? Now it's getting very, very close. In fact, it's next Friday, March 1st. And by the way, I will actually do a reaction video on that on my reaction channel. So if you're subscribed, which again, please do, to that channel, stay tuned for that. And, yeah. Stay tuned for that. Even though I have pre-ordered the album though, so that might also be coming on March 1st. Depends. So, yeah. But anyways, for the songs I've heard so far, it's definitely good. Afterglow of Ragnarok and Rain on the Grave. So far, so good. But anyways, I'm getting a little off track here. Yeah, Iron Maiden, The Book of Souls. Now, I actually have heard another album before this by them. That was Somewhere in Time. That's actually the first album of Iron Maiden I've ever heard. Now, I do like Somewhere in Time, but it didn't really change my life. I mean, again, it was really good album, definitely one of the best albums. Probably the best album in the classic era. But, yeah, I really do love that. But this album really surprised me. Some of the time, I will, give thanks to that album for digging into Iron Maiden a little bit more. I started to listen to some of the albums, and this one really surprised me. I really need to get this, man. And I'm glad I own it now. And it was mainly because of one song. The last song on the album, The Empire of the Clouds. That song, it was very different than what Iron Maiden usually does. I mean, first of all, it's 18 minutes long. It's the longest song. In addition to being the longest song, Book of Souls is the longest album, like 90-some minutes. I know a lot of people say that's too long. For me, that's not a wasted note, honestly. No bad songs. Yeah, I think I wouldn't even shorten it. I think around 90 minutes. I think it's the perfect length. I mean, yeah, for other albums that might be too long, yeah, but this album, it just feels like, it just feels like a minute. Like, every time I listen to this album, it just feels like a minute. A minute has passed. Man, since when did 90 minutes ever feel like a minute? Yeah, this album, it actually really does not feel that long. But of course, it's definitely mainly because of for some reason, I don't know why, just in the recent albums, some reason they started doing the 10-minute songs again. I mean, in the classic era, they only did one, that's Rime of the Ancient Mariner, off of Power Slave. And I don't know what got into them again. I don't know why. I'm not saying the 10-minute songs are bad. I mean, I do love me some Plug. But I don't know what got them into 10-minute songs again. But hey, I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's bad. Again, not a lot of people complain, oh, it's too long. Now, I think it's good. But yeah, Empire of the Clouds, going back to that song. 18 minutes, the longest song. It has piano in it. They never had a piano in those songs. And yeah, they've always used keyboards, but I think this is the first time they ever used an actual piano. So, and mind you, Bruce Dickinson is actually playing it. And there's also an orchestra. They actually have used an orchestra before. But I think this song's where they used it a lot. Actually, I think every song of this album has an orchestra in it. I think orchestras throughout this album. But you can definitely hear it prominently on Empire of the Clouds. Very beautiful song about the fall of R101, the aircraft. Yeah. And also, I really do love this artwork of Eddie right here. I always thought that was pretty cool. especially when you open it up. It's a triple album if you have it on vinyl, so it opens up like this. Like, I always thought this is like probably the best artwork they ever gotten. I always thought this was definitely the coolest artwork. But anyways, I guess I'm rambling too much now because yeah, let me just go ahead and move on. Yeah, this is definitely a great album in my opinion. But now my second favorite album of all time. So sorry, I know I kind of took way too long about talking about album, but so sorry about that. But anyways, next up is Guns N' Roses, Appetite of Destruction. No, not for Destruction. Appetite for Destruction. This is my dad's favorite album of all time. And I don't agree with him, but it's definitely in my top 20 albums of all time. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do a top 20 albums of all time. I think that would be interesting. Yeah, this is definitely up there though. But I wouldn't call it the greatest album of all time. This is not even my favorite Guns N' Roses album, actually. It's actually, the Use Your Illusion album is my favorite. But, yeah. And I gotta thank my dad for introducing me to Guns N' Roses, because Guns N' Roses is definitely one of those bands that, I mean, either you love them or either you hate them. But I love them, though. I know they're definitely controversial. I mean, I know Axl Rose is a bit of a butt. That's the most polite way I can say it. Yeah, I know the band members are not too they're not too nice, but they do make some great music, and I really do. Again, I checked this album immediately as soon. I can't remember my first Guns N' Roses song, but it was probably either, I know it was from this album. I do believe it was from this album. It was either Welcome to the Jungle or Paradise City or Sweet Child of Mine. One of those three. I do remember hearing those first times like, wow, who is this? And Slash is definitely one of the greatest guitar players of all time. Yeah. So yeah, that's my story for this album. My dad introduced me to Guns N' Roses, and yeah. And this is definitely, again, my favorite album is actually one of the Use Your Illusion albums, but I think this is probably my most played album by them anyway, because it's the first Guns N' Roses album I ever heard, so yeah. And so I think I usually play this more. And I also do want to point out that this is actually the holograph vinyl version. It's so when it came out, when it first came out back in 1987, it was just one record, but it was kind of too long to fit, so they decided to make it into a double record. But they did it with a catch. It was two records, but one beside four of the second record was a hologram. That's a hologram. That's side 4. I always thought that was pretty cool. I always thought that was pretty cool, man. Hologram. Honestly, they should probably, a lot of bands, I feel, probably need to do this more. I always thought this was a cool concept. So yeah, it has 12 songs, so it was 4 on each side, but since there's not 16 songs on this album, they decided to leave side 4 blank and have a hologram. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. So I kind of want to throw that in there. Yeah. So let me pause the video real quick. I sometimes have trouble putting the lectures back on, so let me pause the video for a little bit. I'll come back. Alright, I'm back. I didn't have trouble putting the album back in, but the record back in. But yeah, as I was saying, this wonderful, wonderful album. Yeah. Well, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. Alright, up next is AC/DC, Back in Black. What can I say? It's one of the most sold albums of all time, as well as probably AC/DC's most popular album. And honestly, rightfully so, because this album is my favorite AC/DC album, and it definitely has some of the best songs of all time. And this is the first album to feature Brian Johnson. He was the replacement for Bon Scott. And I always find it so cool how Bon Scott, if something happened to him, if he died, if he just decided to leave the band, he thought Brian Johnson would be a good replacement for him. He passed away, and so Brian Johnson, he came, and he is now AC/DC. He's now the lead singer. I actually do prefer Bon Scott more than Brian Johnson, but Brian Johnson, I still think he is a cool dude though. Back in Black. Again, I've heard previous albums before, but Back in Black though, it's definitely my favorite album. It definitely changed me the most. Come on, when you have songs like Shoot to Thrill, Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, and especially some deeper cuts like Giving a Dog a Bone, What Do You Do for Money, Honey, Rock and Roll Like Noise Pollution. Definitely has some of the best songs to date. Wonderful, wonderful album. AC/DC, Back in Black. Back in Black, episode. Yeah. Alright. This next album is probably the album that actually started grunge, in my opinion. Even if it didn't start grunge, it definitely popularized it. And I'm gonna have to censor this cover because naked person, Nirvana doesn't mind. Nirvana Nevermind, my favorite Nirvana album. Definitely changed the music industry a lot. Smells Like Teen Spirit. I know that song is overplayed, but man, you cannot deny how much of a life-changing song that was. And it doesn't end from it. In Bloom, Come As You Are, Bleed, Lithium, Polly. Just that first side is a banger. Just banger after banger after banger. And then side 2 is where some of the really good songs hit. Territorial, Drain You, Lounge Act, Stay Away, On a Plane, and probably my personal favorite Nirvana song, Something in the Way. And it's literally just banger after banger after banger in this album. And, in this vinyl copy, it does not have, so there's a hidden track when you have the CD for the album. It's called Endless Nameless. Now, I think that song actually sucks. I don't think that song was ever included in any vinyl copy. Unless it's just a copy that I have that didn't include it. Anyway, Nirvana doesn't mind. Again, I've always heard the hits on the radio. But man, after listening to the album for the first time, it definitely changed me. And I've loved it ever since. Nirvana, Nevermind. Really, really good. Alright, the oldest album I am going to talk about today. Beatles, Abbey Road. I know a lot of people consider Sgt. Pepper their favorite. I love that too. But this was my first Beatles album. Again, I've heard the hits. I've heard the hits on the radio all the time. Come Together, Something. Here Comes the Sun. I've always heard those on the radio all the time. But it wasn't until, I think I got this for my birthday or Christmas one time. I can't remember, but I do know this was gifted me from my parents, and I've always seen this album cover too. Like, definitely one of the greatest album covers of all time. You know, it's just a simple photograph of the Beatles just walking, just crossing the street. Just as simple as that. But it still changed generations. But anyway, yeah, this was given to me by my parents. I think it was either on my birthday or Christmas. I can't really remember. I know it was a certain holiday where I gift someone, give someone a gift. Yeah, I've always heard "Come Together" something when it comes to something better. I've never heard the entire album, and wow, when I did, wow, it it really really changed me, and especially now, of course, again, this is my favorite Beatles album. I know a lot of people go to Search for Pepper. I love that too, but I'd go for this one, Abbey Road. But man, well, I really, really wish I could hear that whole side two medley for the first time again. I mean, Never Give Me the Money, Sun King, Mean Mr. Mustard, Policy Pam. She came in through the bathroom window, Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight, and the end, just all with that. Wow, I really, first time I heard that, I was really, really, really shocked. Really surprised. And when that album ended, I was like, my jaw just dropped on the floor. I was really so surprised. And then, bam, after the end ended, I thought that was really the end. No, Her Majesty just comes in, bling. Oh, another one? Too bad it was too short, though. But, yeah. Now it's just predictable. I've heard it a lot, and now I know what it sounds like. Really wish I could hear this for the first time again. But still, again, a great album nonetheless, though. Definitely. Alright, now these next three albums are probably, besides Octavilion, probably the most special albums in my collection. Mainly due to the fact these were the first three albums I ever played on my record player. Led Zeppelin 4. I've always heard of the hits on the radio again. Black Dog, Rock and Roll, Stairway to Heaven, obviously, duh. And Misty Mountain Hop. But, yeah, but this is it's either this or Physical Graffiti is my favorite Led Zeppelin album. It's usually either this or Physical Graffiti. Yeah, Led Zeppelin 4 or Untitled or Zoso, whatever the heck you want to call it. But anyways, yeah, Led Zeppelin 4, again, it's a tie between this and Physical Graffiti as my favorite Led Zeppelin album. Yeah, again, one of the first albums I ever played on my record player. Loved it ever since. Loved it ever since. Yeah, just one day my parents gave me a record player, and they knew I really, really loved Led Zeppelin and Metallica. Metallica is definitely in my top 10 bands. And Master of Puppets, again, I've always heard the title track, Master of Puppets. I've always heard Sanitarium. I've always heard Orion. I've heard Battery. I've heard those on the radio a couple of times. Well, actually, no, I don't think Orion was ever on the radio. But I do remember hearing it before, though. Before I got this album. And whatever. Maybe my dad played it for me one time. Yeah, I think he did. Orion's definitely one of the best metal instrumentals of all time, by the way. So yeah, Metallica, Master of Puppets. Not my favorite Metallica album, but definitely the one that started it all. That actually really, really did get me into do a deep dive into their albums. I don't think they ever made a bad album either. Well, except for, little St. Anger. I mean, come on, St. Anger sucks and you know it. I mean, if you do like St. Anger though, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, St. Anger, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about Lou Lou either. We don't talk about Lou Lou either, man. That's not even a Metallica album. That's a Lou Reed album. Metallica's basically his backing band. But anyways, Master of Puppets. I've always loved that cover artwork as well. I remember the first time I saw that album cover. Man, I thought it was one of the creepiest album covers I've ever seen in my life. Still kind of sends shivers down my spine a little bit. I've always loved it. Yep. And this is probably the most special album of all. The first album I ever played on my record player, on my turntable. Because back then, when I had it, I was a huge Pink Floyd fanatic. And so I definitely had to go for this one first. Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of the Moon. Again, honestly, not my favorite Pink Floyd album, but definitely the Pink Floyd album I played the most. Just to kind of relive the nostalgia as my first ever album played on my turntable. So, yeah. Definitely had to go for this one first. Loved it ever since. I've got that record player since 2018. I believe so. It's like 6 years now. It's been 6 years ever since I got that record player, and now I have over 200 albums in my collection now. And of course, it all started because of this. This is the album that started it all for me. Now, again, I have heard songs. I've heard the hits on the radio. I've heard Money. I've heard Breathe in the Air. I've heard Time. I've heard Brain Damage and Eclipse. I've always heard those on the radio. But I never heard any of the other songs. But actually I have. But I never thought I would actually own it. And well, I do now. And again, this is the album that started my whole album collection. I am really, really thankful for this album. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you know what, changed my mind about Odd Billy. Even though that's my favorite album of all time, this definitely changed my life the most. Due to it being the fact that this is my first ever album I owned. And I still have it. I still own it to this day. And again, I have over 200 albums now. So, yeah, this is the album that started it all for me. And, yeah. Alright. So, yeah, decided I wanted to hop on the albums that changed my life train. Since a lot of people are doing it, I wanted to do it too, because that's definitely an interesting topic for the video. So, yeah, let me know some albums that changed your life so much. And yeah, definitely would be interested to hear that. So, yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also subscribe to my second channel, and Reacts, my reaction channel. Again, I'll make sure to put in the description below. And I'll see you guys next time. See ya.